You think chowing down means packing on pounds eventually, right? Wrong. Dead wrong. Secret weapons hide in your food that crush and shed stubborn fat like magic. Take hydroxytyrosol, yeah, like in olives, or ellagic acid found in chestnuts. Dr. Becker began uncovering that these powerful bioactives, they're actually battling body fat every single day. They're calming down rogue stem cells. They're firing up your brown fat to torch energy and revving your metabolism into high gear. There's a tea Dr. Becker dives into in his work called Pure Tea. And get this, research shows tea literally lights up your brown fat, kicks your fat burning into overdrive, shuts down stem cells from cooking up more fat, and melts away dangerous visceral fat too. Pretty mind-blowing stuff. Out of nowhere, Dr. Becker started dropping weight in ways he never had before. Hold up. That's kind of wild. How can you eat more and still lose weight? Music people. Music, applause, mostly think of stem cells as something you get at that corner strip mall clinic, shooting them into sore knees or achy elbows, right? To Dr. Becker, as a scientist, that stuff isn't quite ready for the big leagues yet. But your body is absolutely ready, primed and waiting. You're born packed with stem cells, about 75 million of them, left over from your time in the womb, stashed away in your bone marrow, organs, skin, and even inside your body fat. These little powerhouses get called into action to repair you from the inside out every single day of your life. So, yeah, you're constantly renewing, constantly regenerating, and that old story that humans can't regenerate like salamanders or starfish, totally busted. Another myth getting smashed: humans do regenerate. We just do it at a slower pace. Can't sprout a new arm or leg or tail, sure, but we can regrow our liver, we can rebuild our lungs, we can even repair parts of our brain, which is seriously amazing, and absolutely, we regrow our nerves. Now here's the kicker about stem cells living in your body fat and affecting your metabolism. Your fat tissue actually houses stem cells. And remember what Dr. Becker said: if you flood your system with too much energy, too much fuel, too many calories, your body's gotta stash that extra fuel somewhere. So when your fat tanks are completely full, guess what? It makes more room. How? By calling on those stem cells to build new fat cells. So yeah, those stem cells in your fat are like emergency reserves ready to expand your fuel storage when needed. But here's the cool part: you can actually work with those fat tissue cells for good too. Dr. Becker has read about and even joined in on some cutting-edge research. Cardiologists are teaming up with plastic surgeons during liposuction to harvest fat and isolate those precious stem cells. Here's the play. Do the lipo, collect that jar of golden fat, pour it into a tube, spin it in a centrifuge, round and round and round. What happens? The stem cells clump at the bottom. The fat floats to the top. Stop the spin. Pour off the fat. What's left? Pure stem cell gold. Cardiologists take those cells, mix them with a little saline, and inject them straight into the heart. And because they're no longer in fat tissue but in heart tissue, they start building brand new heart muscle. Wild, right? And one of the most jaw-dropping stories in Dr. Becker's book? They're doing the same thing for spinal cord injuries. Now, it's still research phase, but it's happening in real humans. There was a famous case: a young person who shattered their spinal cord at the neck, became quadriplegic. What did they do? Took their own body fat, spun it down just like that, harvested the stem cells, and injected them right into the damaged spinal cord. And this person? They started moving again. Seriously incredible. Dr. Becker is sharing this to show you just how mighty stem cells truly are. Imagine that power in your heart or your spine. That's the kind of breakthrough medicine might harness soon. Super promising. But it also shows you how potent those stem cells are while they're still chilling in your fat. You definitely don't want to trigger them to cook up more fat by overeating and flooding your system. Those little guys can bulk up your fat stores lightning fast. That's partly why sometimes we see rapid, massive weight gain. It's those stem cells going into overdrive. So what's crucial? You can tame those stem cells. There are foods you can eat that actually send signals to those stem cells. Hey buddy, chill out. Don't make more fat. Let's stay calm. Let's stay quiet. Don't act up. Don't build more fat. And that's another perfect example of your body's built-in health defense system. On one hand, it's incredibly powerful for recharging and renewing parts of you that need it. But we've got to keep it in check. Body fat isn't the enemy. It's actually essential, but we need to respect it while keeping it tamed. We can't let it run wild. Take lycopene in tomatoes. That's a bioactive, a carotenoid. Turns out this stuff does a ton to fight harmful body fat. And one of its superpowers, it tames those stem cells. Basically, it puts the brakes on fat stem cells going rogue. That's huge. It's like that disruptive kid in class who won't stop causing chaos. You send them to the principal's office. Remove them from the scene. Stop the trouble. That's what tomatoes can do. Olive oil? Packed with amazing bioactives. And this is what gets Dr. Becker so fired up as a research scientist. It's not just the food anymore. We're pinpointing the exact compounds inside that deliver the benefits. So, hydroxytyrosol, oleocanthal, all these powerhouse bioactives in olive oil, which, by the way, are also in whole olives and even in olive water. Olives are mostly water, not oil. When they press olive oil, they toss the water and keep the oil. But that water, loaded with polyphenols. One of them, hydroxytyrosol, which also makes its way into the oil in smaller amounts, actually tames those stem cells in your body fat. So again, this is proof that the foods we eat don't just fuel us. They can surprisingly help us battle body fat. That's one of the things that totally blew Dr. Becker's mind when he started this research journey. You assume eating means gaining fat eventually. But actually, there are secret substances in food that can help you tame and even shed fat. And honestly, Dr. Becker will let you in on something most folks don't know. When he wrote his first book, Turned It In, and it became a New York Times bestseller, he had a quiet worry in the back of his mind. What if people got so excited about eating all these amazing foods he talked about that they actually gained weight? He's a medical doctor, so the obesity epidemic keeps him up at night. He started getting emails, thousands, tens of thousands. People thanking him, sharing how empowered and healthier they felt. Some even said they got off their medications. All great feedback. But his radar was on, he was waiting for the but I'm gaining weight because I'm eating so much of this good stuff never came. Instead, Dr. Becker clearly remembers one person writing, "You know what the other benefit I got from eating to beat disease is? Unexpectedly, I started losing weight in ways I never could before." He read that and thought, thank goodness they didn't gain weight. Then he paused. Wait a minute. That's kinda weird. How can you eat more and lose weight? He brushed it off. Then another dozen notes like that came in. Then 20. Then 30. And he thought, hold on, something real is happening here. He's a researcher. He spots clues by watching, by listening. And the wildest part? These folks were truly eating, embracing foods that support the 5 health defense systems. How could eating more lead to losing weight? That question literally sparked Dr. Becker's next research deep dive. It was the natural next chapter. He was already studying metabolism, but now he wanted to crack this code wide open. So he started examining the bioactives in these foods, because as a scientist, that's his jam. What's the mechanism? What's actually in these foods doing the work? Lycopene, hydroxytyrosol in olive oil, lycopene in tomatoes, ellagic acid in chestnuts, you name it. Dr. Becker began discovering that all these bioactives started making perfect sense because they were fighting body fat. They were calming stem cells. They were stopping fat cells from gulping down extra fuel. They were igniting brown fat, turning on that internal space heater to burn energy and boost metabolism. And when you actually dig into the clinical trials, studies where they isolated a specific food and gave it to people, you start seeing real results, shrinking waistlines, dropping pounds. Suddenly it clicked. There's a whole universe of foods that can actually activate your metabolism, torch harmful body fat. And against everything Dr. Becker shared at the start, the new science of metabolism, the 4 phases, the dangers of extra fat, he realized people needed to read about this. Which foods do we know contain compounds that burn harmful fat and unleash your inner metabolism? Who hasn't heard green tea is amazing, right? It's been hyped everywhere. In our complex modern world, human nature loves to either crown a hero or create a villain. Hero worship or demonization. Green tea usually gets the hero treatment. But for Dr. Becker, what he really wants to spotlight is this. The science is teaching us exactly what's inside that tea. We know tea has polyphenols called catechins. One superstar catechin is EGCG, epigallocatechin galati. Don't sweat the fancy science names. Let the lab folks handle that. But this polyphenol in tea, it's seriously good for you. Not only does it cut off blood supply to starve cancers, not only is it anti-inflammatory, not only does it protect your stem cells so you can regenerate from within, the fiber in green tea, and some of those catechins actually act as a prebiotic. They feed your gut microbiome, keep your gut bacteria happy. It's antioxidant, shields your DNA, fires up your immune system. So yeah, these are just some of the powers of one compound we know about in green tea that helps your body stay strong. And when it comes to your body fat, that same catechin, It battles white fat, helps you shed some of that jiggly subcutaneous stuff. But more importantly, it helps you lose visceral fat, that dangerous hidden fat that can lurk even in a skinny body. That's the fat that chokes your organs, grows fast, the fat at the back of your tongue we talked about earlier. Bottom line, green tea drinkers tend to be metabolically healthier. And here's another green tea perk. Not only does it have catechins, but it's brewed in water, hot or iced. You're hydrating yourself too. Multiple wins. And hydration itself, fun fact, not many know this, but a glass of iced tea has water. Not just catechins, actual water. Turns out water itself fires up your metabolism, activates your brown fat. When you drink cold water or iced tea, it hits your stomach. There's a temperature sensor in there that notices the cold. Since that's below your core body temp, we think it triggers your metabolism to warm things up. Like a thermos trying to heat cold water. Your metabolism kicks in, your brown fat lights up. That brown fat needs fuel to act as your internal space heater. It pulls energy from your harmful fat, burns it away. So again, this is a fresh way to see food. It's not just fuel, it's working your inner systems on your behalf, boosting your metabolism. By making smart, intentional choices, you can absolutely unleash your inner metabolism. Many folks don't realize this, but matcha is absolutely loaded with polyphenols. Know why? Matcha is grown super intentionally. 28 days before harvest, they shade the tea plants. They cover them with canopies. In response to that shade, the tea plant pumps out way more polyphenols, anywhere from 30 to 300 times more. Then when they pick the leaf, they remove the stem, dry the whole leaf, and powder it entirely. That's why you get so much more polyphenol. Instead of steeping a bag or loose leaves, you're consuming the entire leaf, every bit of those polyphenols. You drink them all. That's why you get 30 to 300 times more than just dunking a tea bag. Plus, you get the dietary fiber. Great for your gut microbiome. So matcha tea? Seriously impressive. Studies show matcha extracts can actually kill breast cancer stem cells. Wow. As someone who's worked in biotech and cancer treatment development, finding something that can kill cancer stem cells, like breast cancer stem cells, the ones that make cancers return, is the holy grail. We don't have a drug for it yet, but here's matcha tea, shown in the lab to do exactly that. To Dr. Becker, that's absolutely jaw-dropping. Then go even deeper into fermented teas. Traditionally, in wellness circles, the mantra is must drink green tea. Oxidized fermented tea is bad. Turns out, not true. Science shows oolong tea, lightly fermented, is also great for your metabolism. You can shrink your waistline, drop body fat. And maybe even more surprising? Take the extreme end. Smoky, dark, heavily fermented teas. There's a tea Dr. Becker writes about called pu'er tea. Comes from a village named Pu'er that, thousands of years ago, traded tea along the Silk Road. They smoked it, fermented it, so it could survive the long journey. And research shows pu'er tea lights up your brown fat, triggers excess fat burning, shuts down stem cells from making more fat, and melts visceral fat too. Pretty remarkable for a fermented tea that some think can't be good or has no polyphenols left. Wrong. Plus, just a few years ago, they discovered something wild about this 1,000-year-old pu'er tradition. There's actually a bacteria, a probiotic, that grows during the fermentation. They call it Bacillus pu'erhi. So this is literally a probiotic tea. To Dr. Becker, that's incredible. Not only does it boost gut health, it's great for your metabolism too, fires up that brown fat. So again, tea is part 2 of the Holy Trinity. Part 3, which Dr. Becker always drinks. And yeah, when he came to do this podcast with you, he asked for a cup of coffee. Coffee has chlorogenic acid and tons of other polyphenols. That chlorogenic acid doesn't just boost your health defenses, it also fires up your metabolism. A little caffeine, which Dr. Becker can handle, not everyone can, also stimulates not just your brain but your metabolism too. He's not pushing everyone to chug caffeine, just saying coffee is the 3rd pillar of the Holy Trinity. Coffee, tea, and water. All seriously healthy. One study took fat samples from people having bariatric surgery, folks who are morbidly obese. Researchers took a chunk of that fat, grew it in a petri dish, and they watched. Fat wants to grow. Once it's out of control, it just keeps going, almost on autopilot. Fat is highly vascular tissue, meaning it needs lots of blood vessels, just like a tumor, by the way. So when fat grows way beyond where it should, it supports itself by hijacking, recruiting, and growing extra blood vessels, desperately hunting for nutrients and oxygen to fuel its expansion. What they saw? When they put that fat in a dish, within days it started extending little tentacles of blood vessels, searching for new nutrition to grow bigger, 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 to explode in size. That's fascinating. There's a real analogy between out-of-control body fat and growing cancer. Early in the womb, as our bodies formed, blood vessels grew and fat formed little bubble wrap pockets around them to store fuel. That's basically how we're built. Our blood vessels naturally have a tiny rim of fat around them. They're our body's fuel tanks. As fat mass grows, it keeps needing blood supply, oxygen. When too much fat grows, it selfishly reaches out, grabs more blood vessels, grows them toward itself. Now, if fat grows faster than it can grow blood vessels, the center of that expanding mass starts to die. It can't get oxygen fast enough. That's called hypoxia. And when the center of a growing fat mass, just like in tumors, doesn't get enough oxygen, that hypoxic zone becomes dangerous. Hypoxia sparks inflammation. Basically, it's tissue starting to die. Not dead yet. But inflammatory cells rush in. That's why excess obesity links to inflammatory diseases. Serious ones like cancer, diabetes, Alzheimer's. Partly because it's a setup. Too much body fat turns you into a walking vessel of inflammation. Dr. Becker titled his book, Eat to Beat Your Diet. It's a trick title. It's not a diet book. It's kind of an anti-diet book, saying you can boost your health without ever going on a diet. It's about your metabolism, and your metabolism is super sensitive to your relationship with body fat, your fuel tanks, which is then sensitive to the food you actually eat. And skinny people, lean-bodied folks, you might think you're fine because you're lean, but that's not always true. Because visceral fat, the fat you can't see, not the muffin top, not the thighs, not the butt, not the jiggly arm stuff. It's packed deep inside your body, and it can happen in a thin person. Let Dr. Becker paint visceral fat for you. His analogy, imagine going to a FedEx store to ship fluorescent light bulbs. Long, thin, delicate bulbs. You grab a thin box. You ask for packing peanuts. You can gently pour just enough peanuts in. Or you can really stuff extra peanuts in until they're pressing hard on the bulb, almost crushing it. You force the thin box shut, tape it tight. From the outside, looks skinny. But inside, those peanuts are crushing the bulb. That's what can happen in skinny people. The peanuts are visceral fat, the dangerous hidden fat, stuck inside you. You could be skinny or larger. Everyone needs to watch out for visceral fat. And visceral fat? Dr. Becker thinks of it like a baseball glove wrapped tight around your organs, choking them. It grows easy, super inflammatory. One of the first places your body stores extra fuel. Eat too much? That extra energy gets stuffed into those fat cells, that storage tank, your visceral fat. That's the fat you really want to fight first. Now, a super interesting fact many don't know. Dr. Becker does this in his Metabolism masterclasses. Keep it interactive. He asks, true or false? First place you gain extra body fat is around your waist. Most say true. It's their experience. They see it in the mirror. Actually, false. One of the first places you gain extra body fat is in a zone of visceral fat, inside. But shockingly, it's not your belly, it's your tongue. Your tongue can get fat, even in a skinny person. Let Dr. Becker break this down. Studies on tongue anatomy show the tongue has 3 parts. You've got the acrobatic tip, the surface you use for taste and speech. You've got the middle, mostly muscle, moving food around in your mouth. The rear, the last third, big, thick, marbled like a T-bone steak, ribbed with visceral fat. So as you start gaining weight, one of the first places that extra fat shows up is in that marbling at the back of your tongue. One of the very first spots. So even a skinny person can have this. How do we know it happens in skinny folks? Usually it's their bed partner who notices. Hey, not sure what's up, but you're starting to snore. What's happening? They're gaining weight. The last third of their tongue is gaining fat. Fat, tongue. When they sleep, their whole body relaxes, including that fat tongue. It obstructs their airway. That's sleep apnea. They snort awake, snore on and off. That's one of the earliest clues you're gaining extra body fat, visceral fat, when your tongue gets fat. Hey, if you like that deep dive from Dr. Becker, then you're gonna love what's next. Check it out. Keep exploring how food fuels your fat-fighting power, one delicious metabolism-boosting bite at a time. Your body's ready. Your metabolism's waiting. Let's unleash that inner fire together.